Hi, this is Shaun. In this third video, I'm going to go over how to set the rotation of these wind turbines to the time of day. So let's get started. The first thing that you need to do is make sure that they're set to movable. So let's select the turbine and turn it to movable. Very important. Let's go into blueprints. Alright, so here's where we left off. And this is sort of a mess. Well, at least it's not very understandable. So if we were going to come back to this, we might have forgotten what part does what. So it's always good to comment your blueprints. So you select and hit C, and we can call this part. This was the error checking for the lights, and this part was just the day-night cycle. C. Day-night cycle. All right, so let's get started on the rotation. So we've got that turbine selected just for start, and let's add a reference to that turbine. What do we want to do? Well, we want to rotate it. And so you could do a rotation on it. But just a basic rotation will set a discrete rotation. And what I want to do is I want to continuously add to the rotation. So that's an important difference worth noting. So add actor local rotation. And in addition to that, I want to rotate. So let's see, I want to have a rotator. So make rotate. And this make rotate it defines a continued, like a rotation based on pitch, yaw, and roll, it's sort of X, Y, and Z, but in terms of, like, I guess, a dynamic property of those. And so right now I could plug this in. I could try, let's see if it's the roll attribute. Say 30 and hit simulate. I'm not seeing any simulation. Why is that? Well, that's because I don't have anything plugged into here. And so one of the ways that you can make this evaluate consistently is do an event tick. And the reason is, well, let me just run it and see if that works now. Okay, so it works. We're running, and we're running counterclockwise. What if I wanted that to... if I wanted it to go the opposite direction, maybe I could hit, there we go, yep, roll it in the opposite direction. But one of the things that is okay for now, but we could sort of make better, is that this delta seconds is actually, it evaluates, right now we would only do this rotation as fast as the engine could run it. And so if I'm running this on a fast computer, this could run very fast at 30. But if we wanted to run at a consistent value, we need to mix this delta seconds with this make rotation value. So let's cut this and let's combine these two values. So it would be like a multiply of a scale rotation. So plug this in here, and by multiplying this delta seconds, we'll get the frame rate of the engine, and this will run consistently the same speed on all engines. So that's worth knowing. So now, and what that does is, since my computer's running fairly well, we'll need to turn this up. So we'll say 100, and if we hit simulate, it still looks a little slower than previously at 40. So, all right, but that's not rotating based on the time of day. So now what do we need to do? We need to plug something into our roll value based on our time of day. So let's go up here and look at what we've got. Oh, we've got this 12-hour cycle that we created earlier. So let's drag out a noodle from that and promote it to a variable. We'll call that variable 12-hour cycle. And we need to update this variable. just like we did with the time of day variable. So it would sort of make sense to plug it in maybe right after. So plug this here, and we need to make sure that, there we go. So now this 12-hour cycle is being updated. And so now I could go down here and drag a variable for the 12-hour cycle. So we just want to get the variable. But if I just plug this in here, it would go from 0 to 12 and back to 0. So, but we want to, and that's good, but we want to sort of multiply, because even at 100 it was a little bit slow. So maybe if we do a multiply, so I hit star and say float times float, and then plug that into roll, it would go from 0 to 12, and so we'll say multiply times 15, 18, okay. And so we should be good to go. Let's just give this a test. So I'm going to F7 to compile and just run this, simulate it. So at the beginning of the day, it's slow, the wind is slow, and then right around noon the wind really picks up. So it should be 12, it should be at its peak spinning speed. And then it should slow down from there. I don't know, I think we could go faster, so maybe even a higher multiplier value. So let's just say times 25. All right, and that should do it. So let's plug in, we want both, not just this turbine, but we want the other turbine to be affected in the same way. So we'll add a reference to turbine 2 and plug that in as a target. And let's see if both of those are now running correctly. So, and it's looking good. Excellent. All right, well, that should do it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.